Theme
Hello
song.
world. We're back. What did you say?
Theme song.
Theme song. I did actually find some sweet music for the edited versions of these. Some intro music. Hello everyone. We're back. Welcome back to the Wanderers Guild. We are here for the third session of Blades in the Dark. Craig has graced us with his presence once again, and the Unspoken are going up against their most ferocious enemy yet, Downtime. So without further ado.
Yeah, so let's talk about in session 1. In about 2 hours, we created a crew from scratch, 4 characters from scratch, came up with our first score and started it. Session 2, in about that same amount of time, we went completely through an entire score. Now we're going to go into a different mode of the game, which is called downtime. And this is essentially what happens in between your scores. Really kind of 2 modes of play. Now you can do town time as much indulgent as you want, right? So you can make it very check boxes, roll dice, and just move right to the next score. And for a lot of tables, that's great. Other tables really find almost as much fun playing inside of the downtime as they do playing the scores themselves. So we'll kind of figure out where we are as a table on that. But the first thing I need to talk about is experience points, because we all forgot, and by we I mean me, to give you guys experience. So who is in charge of the Unspoken sheet?
I've been the one updating it for the most part, I think,
All
since
right.
people can see it on screen.
Yeah, let's bring it up.
All right, let's see.
So the XP for shadows, they have a series of triggers, and there's one place where you can put that XP, which is on the crew XP. If you fill that up, you get to pick up a new ability. So the first trigger question: did you execute a successful espionage, sabotage, or theft operation? Without question. So that's an XP. Let's mark 1 XP. Next, did you contend with challenges above your current station? Good Lord, yes. That's 2 XP. Did you bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one? Now, what the crew's reputation, remind me, is subtle, right?
Not anymore.
I don't think you bolstered it. I don't know if we've created a new one, so I don't think we're going to get a click on that. And then express the crew's goals, drives, and inner conflict or essential nature. I don't think we did that either. Do you?
Not really.
Okay, so 2 XP. That's great for a score. All right, next, let's go to Elizabeth, alias Marie. We'll open up your character sheet, and Josh, you should be able to open it up so people can see it on the stream too. So Elizabeth, all but 1 XP trigger is the same for every player, but then there's one specific for just that particular class. So let's start off with desperate actions. Now, every time you take a desperate action, whether you succeed or not, you get 1 XP in that ability group. Because I love you, went through the entire history of all the die rolls over the last 2 sessions. And we only had 1 desperate action. It was taken by Elizabeth, and it was done for Sway. So you'll notice, Elizabeth, in the bottom right corner, you've got 1 little XP mark in your resolve. If you fill that up, then you get to add a dot in any one of those items in resolve.
That's
Note to us.
encouragement to make more desperate actions.
So there's something good about taking desperate actions. Next is, let's see, where are we? Did you address a challenge with stealth or evasion in your score?
I mean, would we consider offing 2 guys with a silence file stealth?
I don't think so.
No one heard the gunshots.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because I'm like, this was a
it's
pretty.
Okay if not.
Like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think we really got to see the ninja shit.
No.
I
leapt out of a window.
Out of our lurk. Yeah. And that's fine, right?
Evasion, I guess, but still kind of pushing it.
And I only gave her that pistol because she was going to do it quietly. I wouldn't have given it to her if it was going to be loud.
I love that.
All right, so next, did you in any way express your beliefs, drives heritage or background during the score?
Did I express that?
Yeah, so in any way did we kind of see something about Elizabeth, her belief system, what drives her, your
Hmm.
heritage as an Akarosi, or your background in Underworld? Did we express that in any way?
Mm, I I mean, not outside, I think, of what you did by bringing my person,
Your rival in?
my rival Darmot, which him being like a blue coat, like kind of is like the opposition to being like an urchin with that underground background. But that's also just that he's my rival, and it made
Yeah.
sense to bring him into the score. It
Yep.
wasn't necessarily something that was driving in my playing.
So something to think about in our next score, right? Because these are, we haven't really talked about these XP triggers, so we're kind of doing it in the rears, right? The whole purpose of these XP triggers, just like in a lot of systems, especially systems that have some of the DNA of Apocalypse World, is to kind of inform the player of role playing prompts, right? It's not like Dungeons and Dragons where we're trying to level up and move to, level 3 to get the new spell and stuff like that. It's really not that type of a game, but these are nice prompts for us to think about. All right, last but not least, Amy, did Elizabeth struggle with issues from your vice or traumas during the session? Well, we really haven't done any traumas yet because you haven't filled up your stresses to pick up a trauma. And your vice is luxury. Don't really think
Not
so.
really. Nope.
All right. Time for
Wah.
that's okay. Lasim. You
Hello.
did not take any desperate actions. Did you address a challenge with knowledge or arcane power?
Well, there was getting in,
Mm-hmm.
so yes. I
Okay,
suppose.
that's one. Did we do it more than once, or was that the only time?
He hid the body in the ghost realm.
That's
did.
two.
Ooh.
All right, so you've got some options. Now, when you take a desperate action, it has to be in that ability group, right?
Mhm.
But you have 2 XP, which you can either do towards abilities, which means if you fill up that ability track, you can pick up a new ability,
Mhm.
or you can do it in any of the 3 groups. In the same way, when you fill that up, you get to add a dot to any action in that group. So where are you putting your two XP? You can split them up, obviously.
Yeah, I'll do them. I'll do them in the little skill groups. What are they called? Not skills. Ability groups.
Yeah. Yep. So you want to do it insight, prowess, or resolve?
Let's see. I think I used a lot of my resolve stuff the most, so it makes sense. Not that I have to do that, but I'll do resolve. I'll lean heavy
Great.
into the stuff I did the most.
It's 2 XP in resolve. All right. Did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
Not a ton, no.
And did you struggle with issues from your vice or traumas?
No.
All right. Time to talk about Stella. All right, Hank. Took no desperate actions, but did you address a challenge with violence or coercion?
I tried to beat up the 2.
That's definitely addressing it with violence or coercion. Any other times where you tried to intimidate or beat the hell out of somebody?
In a flashback, I helped
Done. That's 2.
Yashka
Yep. Yashka.
put the smackdown on a couple of people like me.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Let's go with that's 2 XP. Where are you going to put it?
Prowess.
All right. Let's put both of those in prowess then. Now, did you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background?
There were the 2 Taikarosi guys in the flashback.
I
I
think you
kind of
definitely
talked a
got
little
it.
bit about that. Yeah.
Yep. I think we definitely saw some Taikarosi becoming a part of play, right? So let's go ahead and mark a 3rd XP. Where's that going to go?
I think I want to put this one in resolve.
I like it. All right. Last but not least, did you in any way struggle with your issues of your vice trauma or traumas during the session?
Don't believe so.
All right. Yashka.
Yes.
Yashka. All right, Adam. No desperate actions. Did
She's
you address
never
a
desperate.
challenge with calculation or conspiracy?
With calculation. I mean, using my items to bring some pretty good uh, background play or flashback play, I think is something. I carefully calculated that those two people that were on their away mission for the church could be taken out and replaced.
Definitely, that's definitely an XP.
Yeah,
Yep.
I calculated. I'm going to use that word a ton here. I calculated that the patrol officer would be just dumb enough to believe that we were actually hosting a protest and getting the paperwork in order for that.
What
Yeah,
about
I think it more spidery, right? More like mastermind type, mega planner pulling the strings type thing. So I agree with the first one. I don't think I'm
Okay.
good with the second one. What were you gonna say, Amy?
can we like are you allowed to take loadout into consideration? So like him having a map
Not
was
really.
very helpful. No, okay.
Yeah,
I've got a way that that's going to come into play. Don't you worry, because I got a military background. What up? I definitely expanded my web a little bit in that flashback as well. So I have a new spiderling, Rila Hunda, the waitress.
Yep, I'm good with that. That's 2.
And I think that's about it.
All right, let's mark those 2.
They're going straight into resolve.
Nice. And then let's talk about expressing your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. You mentioned military. How did we see the military background?
I did. When it comes to being an intelligence operative, a strategist, I feel like those are the kind of people that prepare for things by knowing the ins and outs, the blueprints of a place that they're headed. And they're prepared to tell everyone we're going this way.
I'm good with that.
Find our
Yeah,
way when we're
identifying that
lost.
loadout and having those be plans, something that you would definitely do as a strategist. I'm good with that. That's a
Yep.
3rd XP.
And then background wise, my Skovland heritage didn't come into play too much here. And that's something that Yashka tries to hide a little bit. She tries to be a little more sophisticated than her past. So we'll see where that comes out in the future.
All right. And how about struggling with your vice or traumas?
Nope.
Not yet. All right. So that takes care of XP. Next thing is at the end of the session, one of the things that has to happen at the end of the score is you get payout, right? We already did the payout. Everybody got their coin, but you also have to pay, or you have to decide if you're going to pay tribute, which is, I misspoke during the stream and I said you have to pay tribute on where you're based out of. You actually have to pay tribute on where you hit. So you guys hit Brightstone and you needed to decide if you were going to essentially pay off the person with a lot of influence in Brightstone so that they'll turn the other cheek, and the fact that you went in there and knocked some heads and stole some goodies. And Yashka, you're the one that decided to pay the coin for that. So Commander Bowmore, she is the chief officer of the watch in Brightstone. Now, she runs all of the patrols in Brightstone of all the blue coats, but she also decides, she selectively prosecutes and selectively arrests. So, like many blue coats, she is very flexible when it comes to enforcing the law. So, her finding out and figuring out that people have gone into the church, have stolen a month's worth of tithes from the church, she's not too crazy about it. So, my question for you, Yashka, is where does she find you when she tracks you down? Where are you?
See, that's really interesting you phrase it that way because she doesn't find me.
Okay.
I find her.
Where do you find her?
So it's as she thinks she's on her way to track me down, she suddenly realizes that someone's walking step in step right next to her. And that someone's not trying to hide that they're there, but also not walking menacingly, just as if I joined in step, as if we're doing a Sorkin style walk and talk through the West Wing.
So she continues to, you see her flinch for a second, which tells you that she knows that you're behind her. And to your point, you're not trying to hide this from her, right?
No.
Now, she is a tall, imposing woman. She's got a very sturdy build, a straight back, salt and pepper hair, and a very neat military style buzz cut. Her uniform, which she always wears when she's out in public, is meticulously maintained. Polished brass buttons, a high collared coat. But probably the thing that really makes Commander Bowmore stand out is the huge scar that runs across one of her cheeks. My question for you, Yashka, is what rumor have you heard about that explains how she got that scar and why do you believe it?
Interesting. For some reason, my mind immediately goes to a fishing accident when she was a teenager, working on one of the kind of angler boats of her parents or one of her uncles or aunts or something like that. Probably one of her aunts, actually. I have a feeling in her family, the women were the strong ones and the men were just along for the ride.
So you see her stutter, Yashka, but then she continues and you keep pace with her. And she speaks just loud enough that the person following right behind her can hear, but likely nobody else can hear as she's working her way across towards Crowsfoot to meet you, but you're catching her before she even leaves Brightstone. And she says, "Well, this makes it easier for me now, doesn't it?"
Well, my job is just to make sure that you're happy as always. I don't want to make things difficult for you.
Well, you've created quite a stir, and in many ways, you have undermined the peace that I try to keep here in Brightstone. And I want to know, first of all, what should I call you?
Yeah, well, Bitsy, as you always have. Why would we change things now?
Bitsy. Ew, now it is all coming together.
Oh,
Now, so
you've heard something.
you have found a new crew, haven't you, Betsy?
Bitsy, like the spider, thank you very much, but regrettably, yes, I have. They're not the best.
So, what is it worth to you for me to ignore this, Brandy?
And I want her to hear me just suck in through my teeth a little bit. I'm gonna let her know that she got to me with that a touch, right? But I know that I'm letting her know that it's a conscious reaction. So she's here, it's just like a as she says, Brandy. I can't do business in Broadstone without your support. You know that. And regrettably, things got a touch out of hand. We didn't mean to burn the place down. In fact, we meant to do quite the opposite. No one was supposed to know we were there. I'm telling you this in confidence, of course. I'm willing to part with half of my take.
So, she's got like a shoulder bag, and without even looking at you, she flips the flap up because it's on the back of her right hip. She flips the flap up, indicating for you to drop it in.
I drop it in, but there's also a note that goes in there as well. And
So she feels, hold on one sec. She feels the weight of it and she goes, this this is light. This doesn't buy you any support. It yeah. If at best, Brandy, it buys you me tolerating you. Do you understand?
isn't that how all business relationships start? I don't expect us to be best friends from day one.
We flash to her going back to her brownstone apartment. She empties out her messenger bag. She finds the bag of coin. She finds the note. What does she read on the note?
The note is an address for a tailor that I know in town. And this tailor uh, is not someone you're going to find through the usual channels. There are no advertisements. There are no business cards. It's a word of mouth kind of thing only. And on a note, it says, and below the address and below the name of the tailor, it just says, "You're not the only one who likes to look good, and everyone can always look better."
And I think we see her smirk, and we see her reach in, basically grab a wallet from the inside of her coat, and she neatly folds the note up and puts it into the wallet and stuffs it back into her pocket. Now, another thing that happens is we have entanglements. Entanglements mean no score is ever going to go perfect. No score doesn't have some sort of ramifications.
Ain't that the truth?
Originally, we had you at 4 heat. I made a mistake. You were at 5 heat. We rolled a 5, and it was a choice between Unquieted Dead or Reprisals, which I get to choose, and I'm choosing Reprisal, which means an enemy faction moves against you or a friend, contact, or vice purveyor. Pay them 1 rep and 1 coin per tier of the enemy as an apology. Allow them to mess with you or yours, or fight back and show them who's boss. So now I'm going to cut to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, you are back in Crowsfoot. It's a day or two after the score. Let's put you on Little Cinder Street. Much like most of Crowsfoot, it is run down. It's really odd. Every part of Crowsfoot just looks repurposed. Everything in Crowsfoot was originally used for something, but now it's being used for something else. So any like taverns that used to exist have now been split in half and turned into these tenement apartments. And there really isn't a whole lot of, let's say, storefronts in Crowsfoot. Anybody who tries to open a store in Crowsfoot ends up getting taken over and knocked down in no time. So as a result, a lot of commerce is more of a pop-up nature. So I'm going to have you at a pop-up tea shop. A vendor has pulled a cart, thrown a couple crates down on the street, and has started brewing some mushroom tea. And I'd like for you to be sitting on one of those crates as he delivers the tea.
Not bad. I would tell you to consider opening up, your own shop, but then I'd never get to drink this tea, would I? I hate it here.
If you can just do me a favor and tell your friends I'll be here for another 7 hours. If I can get some more tea sold, maybe I can actually get out of this wretched district.
Don't have many friends, but I imagine I could pass the word along.
And Elizabeth, as you lean down to kind of blow on the tea to cool it off just a little bit, your head comes back up, and the crate that was across from you suddenly has someone sitting in it. You didn't hear them get there. You didn't see them get there. Something that makes you think a little uneasy, right? If anybody's going to be showing up invisibly and unexpectedly, silently, it should be you, not being done to you. And sitting there is a man who you can immediately see just by the way that he moves his arms and hands as he kind of acknowledges that you see him. Incredibly graceful, almost like a dancer. He's wiry, he's got a weathered face, but a kind of a charming, sly smile. He's not tall. He's got unkept hair, but it's really hard to see it because he has a wide-brimmed hat. And it's such that with the light in Crowsfoot way that comes off of the electroplasmic lanterns, you can never quite see his whole face at once. He says, I don't think we've met, and it's long overdue. I'm Silas Blackthorn. And what should I call you?
You should call me Marie, if you call me at all. And if you're going to sit here, buy some tea.
And he flashes the vendor over, orders some tea. He turns and he goes, word is around here in Crowsfoot that there's a new crew, and that crew made quite a big noise 2 nights ago. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you, Marie?
2 nights ago. Nope. Sure wouldn't. Sorry, I was a bit busy.
You look down, and he's got purposely, he has pulled up one of his sleeves, and on the inside of his right forearm, you see a tattoo. And it's a tattoo of a billhook. That tells you immediately who he's associated with, because all of the billhooks have that tattooed on the inside of their forearm. Now, if you remember, the billhooks, you are -1 against the billhooks because they're trying to show and exert some power and influence here in Crowsfoot and aren't real crazy about another crew starting to set up shop. So they've been a little wary of your faction for a little while now. He says, I work for Aaron. Now, you know Aaron is the captain of the Billhooks. She is the sister of Turval, who runs the Billhooks from prison. And it turns out, Marie, you and Aaron have a common friend. Your locksmith friend, Frank. And apparently, Aaron has decided to spend some time with Frank in her basement. And I get the sense that Frank is tired of being in the basement. I also get the sense that Aaron is not at all pleased that a faction is bringing attention to Crowsfoot. So I'm here to resolve this. How do you think we should deal with the fact that your friend, Aaron's new friend, would like to go home?
I think if wisdom was on your side and on Aaron's side as the captain of the Billhooks, that Frake would find the door and he would leave. Or perhaps you and Aaron would find some poison in this delicious cup of tea.
Oh. And he laughs and he says, you are definitely from Crowsfoot. I will give you that, my dear. I think Frake can definitely find the door to the basement without any difficulty. And maybe if you were to, I don't know, maybe I could extend my apologies to Aaron for the noise that you've created. Maybe we could put that apology on the back of a coin.
Should a coin make its way into your pocket, I should find Frake later this evening, unharmed.
Oh, of course. Where would you like to find him and in what condition?
Completely together at his shop, or I'll come back for more than my coin. I'll hand him a coin and stand up.
He nods politely, stands up, drops the coin inside of his coat pocket, and heads off. So if we can go ahead and open up the Unspoken. We need to drop one coin from the Unspoken.
Can I take it out of my personal?
You can also take it out of your person. Yeah.
I'll just take it out of mine.
And then we need to drop a rep.
A true party player.
All right. The last little bits before we
You
get
said
into
we drop
actual
a rep. Sorry.
Yep. Drop
Okay,
one
got
rep.
it.
And then Amy tries to pickpocket him in an alleyway 2 streets over.
Oh, it's not try, baby.
It seems
I'm
to
gonna make
not
my money
let
back.
me edit the rep. I'm clicking.
I
it, but
think
it's
you
not
right
letting me.
click.
Right click.
It'll remove it.
Still not doing it.
Let's see what I can do here. Let's go Unspoken rep. Just I did it for you. Just click on
Okay,
2
cool.
and it'll erase what's to the right of it. So you're down
Oh,
to
I
2
see.
rep.
Oh, it's
Yep.
like a track. Got it.
Yeah. All good. Last but not least, Lasim. Your ability has got you set up to have a ritual. You have the ability to create rituals, but by default, choosing the special ability, you have a ritual. So a
Mhm.
couple things for those of you watching, the way rituals work for your whispers. One, you need a source for the ritual. So it takes a downtime action for you to acquire that source and to do the ritual. Most rituals require an 8-segment progress clock in order for you to learn the ritual, but you've already got one by default by choosing this. And the player and the GM answer questions about the ritual to define what it is and what it will do in play. So you'll record what this is. This will now be a ritual that you can use as part of your downtime actions. So the first thing I need to ask you is, what does the ritual do and how is it weird?
Right. So I gave this a little thought between sessions. I think I would like a ritual that gathers information by spying remotely on a place. So something that I can do that will let me get eyeballs into a place. And I think it should be weird. I'm going to keep with the theme of like demon magic because we kind of went into that at the intro.
Yeah.
So I think it will be weird because it summons a tiny demon into existence, maybe like a little insect demon or something, and I can see through its eyes remotely. Yeah.
And we can figure out mechanically how we want to use that, but I'm good with that. So the ability to summon a small demon, and it will follow your instructions to go to a location and scout it for you, and gives you the ability to see through that demon's eyes and hear through that demon's ears. Now you have a question to ask me.
My question to you is, what must I do to perform this ritual, and what is its price?
To perform this ritual, how do I want you to summon that demon? I think in order to perform this ritual, you need to capture and consume a bat.
That's
So
how
you have
COVID started.
I'm gonna go full Aussie. Yes.
So you have to capture a bat,
and
you have to consume it.
All right.
And you can't cook it. It is raw. And that is what I think kicks off this ritual. All right, last but not least, my last question for you on this ritual, Lyceme. What new belief or fear does knowledge of this ritual and its attendant occult forces instill in you?
Right. So I think I am afraid of tiny creatures because I'm now aware that they might be demons. And I think the more that I meddle with this ritual, the more I notice small critters watching me and following me. And it's making me paranoid and suspicious.
Yeah, I could see that. I think every time you consume one of these bats and it turns into this ritual, it leaves a residue. So you might take in and consume the bat, but I don't know if the bat completely leaves you by the time the ritual is over. So I love that idea. So I'll let you decide on what the name of that ritual is, but that's fantastic. Let's talk downtime. Now, by default, everybody has 2 downtime actions. So very quickly, for downtime, you can do one of 6 things. You can acquire an asset. You can create a new long-term project. So an example of a long-term project is if Lyceme wanted to create a new ritual, right? That would be a long-term project. Maybe you want to create a new signature weapon. Maybe you want to acquire a new informant somewhere, right? Somebody that you could leverage in future scores. That would be a long-term project. Right now, you guys have no physicers. Physicers are really handy as far as healing is concerned. And so that could be a long-term project. One of you could take on and say, hey, I'm going to find us a house physicer that's going to be someone we can always go to help us with healing. You can recover, and that is how you reduce recover is how you help with harm. You can reduce the heat of the crew, right? Which right now you guys have 5 heat, and someone might want to consider doing something about that, because if you were to acquire 4 more heat, you would gain a wanted level 1, which makes everything you do much more difficult. You can also train. And I believe you guys get a bonus when you train in one particular item as part of your abilities. And then last but not least, you can indulge a vice, and that's how you reduce stress. So by default, each of you get 2 downtime activities, but you can pay coin or rep to get a third. Who knows what their first downtime activity is going to be? All right, Stella, what is your first activity?
Reduce heat.
Reduce heat. All right. What are you going to do to reduce heat? To give you a sense of what heat means. Heat means we've already gotten a little hint of it, right? Word is on the street. There's people, factions that are aware of what happened. They know the church got hit. They've got a sense of who maybe is responsible. I think they came out of Crow's Foot, and lowering the heat would be a good idea. So how does Stella do that?
Stella is going to go consort around Crowsfoot in the pop-up taverns and bars and start spreading his own version of the rumor, in which he was present in Brightstone because he was trying to find a couple of mates to have a drink with and happened to see a group of people from Six Towers. They had nothing to do with Crow's Foot. They're none of us.
So let's have you in a gutted out storefront, which is now being used as a place to give cheap ink wine. And who do you think you might consort with to kind of get this story out there?
I'm going to start with dock workers because being a dock worker myself, it's easy for me to slip in amongst them. And they cross paths through the most districts and the most, like, they see a lot of different people through the boats.
So as you walk into this pop-up tavern, Stella, spotting the dock workers is always easy. They've always got warm coats on. And I don't know where this tradition started, Stella, but there's a certain pride in not cutting their hair. So for the women dock workers, having long braided locks, often tied up into large elaborate buns that they put under a knit cap. The men will do the same, but the men, those that can, will grow just enormous facial hair. So you have no trouble finding a group of dock workers. There's 3 of them. They're kind of leaned up against one of the walls and they're drinking this cheap ink wine.
I'll go get my own glass of ink wine. And having the large facial hair myself, I'll start to meander my way over to that end of the room, trying to catch one of their eyes, like make eye contact and see if I can gauge whether they're open to somebody joining in or not.
And I think when you nod your head, one of them kind of looks you up and down, kind of acknowledges that I don't think he's a dock worker today, but it looks like he could have been a dock worker yesterday. And he lifts his small opaque cup, kind of acknowledging you and that you've made eye contact.
I'll lift it back and head over, just joining up with him.
So, how long have you been off the docks?
A few years now. Nothing too long. Spent most of my time there.
The other one goes, "God damn it!" And he hands the guy a coin. He goes, "I told you he was a dock worker. I told you."
I mean, where else do you find such magnificent beards?
What I hate is when a dock worker leaves the docks and to show off that they've gone above us, they shave their faces. So, tally to you, sir.
Tally to you. And I'll drink to that. I'll set my glass down. Listen. been hearing these strange rumors around the Crow's Foot recently. Are they talking about him in the docks? That pop-up gang that made a raid on Brightstone?
The fire.
Yeah, the fire. They're attributing it to some criminal organization.
So here's the reality. There is nobody foolish enough in Crowsfoot to have ever dreamed to doing something as silly as trying to set afire the Church of the Ecstasy of the Flesh. So yes, I've heard that spoken of. I personally don't believe it. The one that paid him the coin goes, "Oh, I think it totally could have been somebody from Crowsfoot. You don't give Crowsfoot enough credit. Half of the docks is full of people from Crowsfoot."
People from Crow's Foot or not, you can't exactly say that they're all ballsy enough to try to burn down the church.
So who do you think did it?
I heard it was a group of broads from the Six Towers.
6 Towers?
Yeah, apparently some high-up member of the church slighted one of them.
So the third one who hasn't said a word squares up against you. And she looks down at you, which doesn't happen very often because not many people are taller than Stella. She looks down and she goes, "Are you implying that people from the towers are braver than thus us from Crowsfoot?"
I'm not implying that they're braver than us. I'm implying they're stupider than us.
Okay, let's go ahead and do a consort roll. So we're going to use consort here, and we're going to take your best results. On a 1 to 3, we're going to reduce your heat by 1. On a 4 or 5, 2. On a 6, 3. And if somehow you were to crit, we're going to reduce your heat by 5.
Just
Come
risky
on, Henry,
standard,
you
or
can do it. Really put you back into
Open
it.
up,
Roll
yeah,
the
open up your
dice.
character sheet and just roll a consort. Doesn't matter. Risky standard. That doesn't matter. Very nice. All right. So, Josh, if we can reduce the heat by 2, where does that leave you guys?
3 left.
3 heat. That is 1 downtime action for Stella. Who has got their next first downtime action? We're going to swing over to Elizabeth. What's Elizabeth going to do?
I'm also going to lower the heat.
Ooh, and how will you do that?
I am going to prowl my way in because I know into the blue coats building. I'm gonna sneak my way in because I know the
Okay.
Darmok saw me there, and I'm
Mhm.
imagining there's some kind of report with my name in it, with our name in it. I'm going to sneak in. I'm gonna watch the place, case it a little bit. I'm gonna sneak on in, maybe get through a window. I'm gonna make sure our name is nowhere to be seen.
Sounds like you're going to break into the records room, is what it sounds like to me.
Gonna give it a shot.
I mean, are you even a criminal if you don't destroy evidence?
I mean, I plead the fifth.
So normally we would be looking for something like a command or a consort, but I think this is not such. So what action roll do we think we're going to do to try to reduce this heat?
I mean, I was hoping maybe for a prowl.
I
But
think definitely a prowl.
I could sneak in. I mean, I've got super sick lurk items,
No,
like a
that's good.
fine shadow cloak. Just thought I could sneak in.
So let's do a quick prowl roll to see how much heat we can reduce. There's the 6. That drops us by 3. What's our heat?
Nothing.
0. We have nullified the heat. So I've got a couple questions about this little endeavor that we saw Elizabeth go through. 2 things. We'll start with the first, which is the close call. You got in and out of there unseen, which is, I think, the first unseen thing we've seen this crew do.
It's
But-
because it's the first time I've gotten to like really be alone where I wasn't trying to help other people out.
Right. What was the close call? When and where did you almost get caught, and how did you get out? So if we're watching the
Hmm.
montage of Elizabeth sneaking into the Blue Coat station, getting to the records room, finding any records and reports where it was documented that anybody from Crowsfoot was involved with this, or a description of you.
I've got it. She got in, no problem. Got in through a window, got in a door, no one's paying attention, not a nary a sound. Curtains are drawn, and she's thumbing through papers in a filing cabinet. And she pulls one out that piques her interest. It's got Frake's name on it. She picks it up, sets it to the side, keeps thumbing through things, finds the one of what happened in Brightstone. She grabs it, she turns around, she's going through, marking it up, taking our name out, when she hears someone coming. She ducks behind the filing cabinet, holding it. They open the door, they kind of shine their light, and as they're going over it, she realizes that folder is still on top of the filing cabinet. And they shine it away really quick. She grabs it, takes it down, and the light shuffles back. She's just. And slowly the steps ease away.
Absolutely
slide out.
love it. All records that could in any way tie or lead someone on a path to you are gone. You guys have 0 heat now from that score, which is absolutely fantastic. All right, I have got 2 players that have not done a downtime action. Who's the next person to do their first downtime? Let's go with Lasim. Lasim, what are we going to do?
All right. I would like. First of all, I named that ritual, by the way. We're calling it Invoke the Vile Surveyor.
Love it.
And we can decide what that looks like when it happens. I think I would like to do a long-term project.
Okay.
And when we were on that score, we saw them doing some terrible ritual where they had like a floating person that they were tormenting or torturing or whatever. I would like Lasim to try to learn what they're doing from memory and inference, or piece together something similar from what he observed. So basically I would like to learn a new ritual. I guess that's a long-term project. Is that right?
It is. All right.
All
So
right.
I'm going to call this Learn the Church Ritual.
Okay.
But are you like learning how to like take the soul out of the body, or are you trying to learn how to fly like the dude that was floating?
I'm assuming they were doing something cool, and I'm doing frantic research to figure out what it is and figure out how to do it. I don't know when it'll be useful. It might be
I want
super
to
evil,
fly
but
so bad.
I
Like,
gotta know it, right?
Please learn how to make me fly.
All right. So I am going to configure the ownership on this. All players are observers, but we're going to set Josh as the owner. All right. So you should now see under the Wander folder in the actors, you're going to see a clock called Learn the Church Ritual.
Got it.
So now what we're going to then do is we're going to mark a segment in the cloud according to your results. And that is going to be basically describe how you're doing this. So give me an idea in downtime. What steps would you be taking to try to acquire this knowledge and this understanding of this ritual?
The first thing I'm doing is sitting in our book depository and frantically flipping through relevant tomes to try to find something similar written somewhere to try to figure out what they might have been doing and how it works. So probably
what
study
action are you
related.
thinking? Let's do a study roll.
Okay. And what do I set it for?
Risky standard. Yeah, the position and effect doesn't matter for this.
Oh,
Very
see, I can do
nice.
stuff. I can do stuff
that's
just like anybody.
That's a 6. That's going to be 3 segments on the clock. So if you open it up, you should be able to click on the third item, and it should fill in 3 of those blocks for you.
To be clear, though, Josh, you always roll well. Most of the time, it's just against us.
I don't see boxes in the church ritual thing. I just see a drop down with 4, 6, 8 in it.
All right, close it and try to come in again.
Like close out of.
No, just close the screen for the clock and reopen it.
It's the learn the church ritual entry in the actors thing, right?
Yep, I'm showing it marked with 3.
Okay, I can't see it. It might be bugged out. I don't want to restart Foundry right now, so.
But we've marked it. We've got 3.
All right,
so
as long as it's up to
almost
date, that's
halfway
good.
there.
Nice.
Yep. All right. last but not least, for our first downtime action, I need to know what my spider's going to do.
Spider's got to relieve some stress. She's at 6 stress right now.
All
Those
right.
flashbacks took a bunch out of her.
We are going to indulge our vice.
We
so
are.
let's take a look.
And I'd love to try to connect this back to my goals for Commander Bowmore here. And so what I'm thinking, one of the things I see listed under the luxury vice is Dunridge and Sons fine fabrics and tailoring in Night Market. Is it realistic to step over to Night Market, or do you have
Of
to stay in
course.
your? Okay.
Yeah. So let's make sure, mark on your sheet somewhere that from now on, your purveyor is Dunridge and Sons. So when you are indulging this vice, you head over to Night Market. And we've learned, based on the note that you handed over, that this isn't just a store that someone walks up to, right? So how do we get to Dunninger's?
Good question. I love the idea. I'm going very Kingsman here because, oh man, does Matthew Vaughn know how to put a movie together? If you're watching, I'd love to work with you on something. And I love the idea of hiding in plain sight. So Dunridge and Sons is located in the back of a run-of-the-mill clothing store or a fabric factory or something like that. And it's a place where you have to kind of walk confidently in. When people see you come in here, they have to assume that you're one of their managers that they haven't met yet.
So I'm going to try to paint the scene a little bit. I'll need your help. Okay.
Please,
So I'm
yeah.
imagining you walk into this place. There's no markings on the front door, but there are windows, right? So as you're walking through Night Market is not like Crowsfoot. Night Market does have shops. It does have people that have money and spend money. Things are used what they're originally purposed for, not reused like they are in Crowsfoot. So anybody looking into the window here will see that this is a essential mini factory of a fabric manufacturing plant. It's not very large. So we can see the gears and the mechanisms and the machines just clicking, clacking, slowly building and putting together these cheap fabrics. And we see small, mousy people attending to each one of these. They wear white caps and white cloaks like smocks. And you walk in confidently and they purposefully, eyes are cast down, they make no eye contact with you, they become even more focused on their work as you just go down the center aisle with these machines, the clacking we can hear as you continue down. Where's the entrance and what's it look like and how do you get in?
The entrance is hidden behind a trapdoor, and the entrance to that trapdoor can only be activated by a foot pedal that is next to one of the sewers, the seamsters, next to one of their control pedals for their machine. And the only way that they're going to hit that pedal for you is if you compliment their work, which is something that they make it clear when you come in that we're not to be spoken to.
Correct.
And so the thought of complimenting one of them or even acknowledging their existence is something that I don't think most people would think about. And so Yashka, she walks down the aisle. She stops at the second to last one on the left and just kind of rests one hand on this is a gentleman on his shoulder. And she says, Stevenson, I had no idea I could do that with silk. I've never seen anything like this before. This is a masterpiece.
Your hand is on his shoulder and he gently takes his hand and just kind of gives you a knowing pat to your hand. And as you look down to his right foot, he's been hitting this pedal, right, to keep the machine going and to have it click to the next line in the thread building. And he stops and you realize it's a pedal split in half, and he slides his foot to the right a little bit and hits just the right side of the pedal, and the pedal splits in half. And we hear a well, we don't hear anything. The machines are all making too much noise. We hear the sound, right, of the machines. And in sync to that, some gears and mechanisms are going as part of the floor right in the very back starts to collapse into stairs,
Ooh, cool.
leading to a basement.
Yeah. She walks down those stairs.
And I think I want to save the scene of this for a future moment. I want to think a little bit about how special this place is, but you are going to indulge your vice there. You are going to spend some money, get the attention that's above your station, and really indulge in the luxury. So
Mm-hmm.
I need to know, of all of your different attributes, which one do you have the least in? So let's open up.
Ooh, interesting.
Yashka, you have got 2 in resolve, 1 in prowess, and 1 in insight. Go ahead and roll insight for me. All right. So rolling a 5, go ahead and reduce your stress by 5. How much stress did you have?
I had 6. I was very stressed.
Very. So one of the things that everybody needs to watch out for is overindulging. If you clear more stress than
Yeah.
you have the possibility of overindulging, which means we lose track of you. You get lost in your vice and you will not participate in the next score.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Okay.
So well done. You're down. Well done. You're down to
And
1 vice.
one thing I'd just like to note is that Yashka's goal over this vice this time wasn't to shop for herself.
Ooh.
It was to pass off the measurements that she'd taken of Commander Bowmore just with her eyes, because I don't need a measuring tape to get someone's fit. I can size them up. And I'm going to have them commission something special for her.
Oh,
She'll
that's
be waiting
amazing.
for her.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, everybody has a second free downtime action. Who wants to talk about their second one? Let's go back to Lysine. Lysine, what is your second downtime?
I'm going first in case this doesn't fit so that I can pick something else. But
Okay.
my thought is that I will, first of all, I'm going to point out that my eyes are bleeding and I'm going to leave it that way because Lassim is way more concerned with his work than fixing that situation. So I would like to acquire a maybe tastier than average looking bat.
Ah.
So is that something that's worthy of a acquire action or no?
It essentially will be, right? So it's what we're going to choose is you're choosing this. It's a special downtime action that goes outside of the 6 here, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost a 7th one with a ritual, which is you acquiring the asset in order to do this ritual. So it doesn't have to be the same every time, but this time, how do we find our bat?
Oh boy. I think we're going to find our bat the same way that we found our demon friend, using our knowledge of sewers and the cavernous spaces beneath the city and going down there and getting our hands and feet and clothes dirty. And just trying to, I guess just trying to grab one the old-fashioned way, going down into the sewers with a tiny cage and saying, "Here, batty, batty."
As if you are a level 1 adventurer in D&D, we are going to go rat catching, but for bats is what it sounds like.
This is what I've signed up for.
See Lassim once again in the sewers. This is the second time we've seen you in the sewers. The first time was to meet your friend. This time it's to acquire power. So how are we going to, as we see you kind of ankle deep in the muck of these sewers, how do we see Lassim acquire and find this bat?
I'm going to find a place with a lot of bats, and I'm going to wait a really, really long time and study their patterns, and then I'm going to reach up and try to grab one when they fly by and shove it in a cage. So I'm thinking maybe prowl.
Prowl would be if you're getting sneaky. right? So if you're trying to sneak in and catch them,
Or if I'm
you
watching
want
their
to-
patterns, maybe survey or study or
I
something.
was thinking survey is what you would do here, right? Is to find the perfect place and the perfect bat that you'll be able to grab just in time and to stuff into the cage. So let's do a quick survey roll. I'm good with that.
Okay.
Very nice. So with that, gives you a let's see. That's going to give you a tier -1. No, straight tier. So you are it's going to be a tier 1. So this is basically on a 6 it would have given you a +1 on that ritual. This allows you to do the ritual. So you
Okay.
are set to be able to
bet.
do this ritual when we're doing the engagement roll. So when we
Excellent.
talk about things that can help you on the engagement rolls, that is set. So that is 2 for Lassim. Who has got their second downtime action ready?
Not even rabies.
Stella.
I got a proper headache. I want to go acquire a physiker.
So now you can do this as a temporary. So you can acquire a physiker for this downtime action. And then as a third downtime action, you could use that physiker to recover.
Okay.
Or you could do a long-term project to permanently acquire a physiker so that every downtime action, you don't have to acquire an asset and then the recover. Does that make sense?
I think
are
I'm
you
gonna go long term.
long term?
I want to hire a club doctor.
Where would you go? So you need to find a physiker. First off, I'm going to tell you right out of the bat, there is no reputable physiker that would attend to any of the 4 of you. So I'm taking that off the plate.
And I took that personally.
So where do you think someone that's a tier 0 organization like you guys that live in Crow's Foot, where do you think you would find a physiker? One that would feel obligated to treat you.
Obligated to treat us. That makes me, when the word obligated to treat us makes me think someone local in Crow's Foot.
Okay.
Maybe some old spent up sawbones that still kind of knows what they're doing. They're just no longer in practice. They lost their license because of some questionable medical maneuvers, something like that. Or someone adjacent, like in the Silk Shore. Same thing.
So I'm going to throw something at you, and you can veto it, and we can continue, or you can run with it. Which is based on your history and what I think I'm learning about Stella as we play and as we talk about where Stella came from during character creation. How would you feel about finding an old, washed-up fighting pit doctor?
Yeah,
right. So
100%.
someone that used to treat the fighters, who is way past their prime, lives in squalor, and you may not have to really pay them anything. Just the idea that anybody would want their services would be more than enough for them to become the house physiker for the Unspoken. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. Part of my vice is stupor. Part of that is fighting pits. It makes sense that I would have been around, got beat up, and then this old hat patched me up a few times before he was tossed out for whatever reason.
I love it. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to create a new clock. And I'm going to make this a 6-segment clock. Find a physiker. I'm going to close it. Let's go ahead and set the ownership. All right, we have it in there. It is 6 segments. How are you going to acquire this physiker? So what is the first phase of this long-term project? You know how hurt each of you got, and being able to actually recover and have the attention of a physiker. Stella knows better than anybody that the only way to be ready for the fight is to be healed from the last fight.
Yeah.
So how does Stella begin to figure out where we might be able to find somebody that meets our profile?
Huh. First thought is to start at the pits and see if anybody knows where the old guy got booted off to.
All right,
Or
let's
girl.
do it.
We haven't made that call yet.
No,
I
we have
guess,
not made
but-
that determination, right? So, all right, so let's see. I'm imagining a montage scenes of Stella going to one of the many underground fighting pits in Crowsfoot, maybe even to some of the ones in the docks as well. Asking around for this old physiker that used to treat the fighters. And I think what's interesting about this physiker is not just that they would treat the fighters. They were also known for juicing the fighters as well. So then sometimes they would take care of you before the fight even began, right? But they have been long gone, somewhat legendary. Some people say they're dead. So how are you going to start to find out who might know something about this physiker?
If they had a particular fighter that they were known for working with, or a fighter that always requested them, whether it be before the match or after the match, start off with that one and see if they know anything about their whereabouts, what became of them.
All right, I need an action. What action are you going to use to try to extract that information?
Kind of feels like Consort again.
I
to
think
me.
Consort's
Yeah.
great, right? You're from that world, right?
Yeah.
So let's do a consort roll. Let's see how many ticks on this clock we can make. Man, you guys are killing it. That's 2 segments out of the 6 clock.
We're rolling hot on downtime activity.
I know, right? Can't wait for the next score. It's going to go terrible. All right. So I've got 2 for my whisper, 2 for my cutter. I've got 1 more for my spider and 1 more for my lurk. Who's next?
Ames, you got an idea?
I really don't. I need some more time to think because I was gonna relieve stress, but I only have 4 and I don't want to get lost. And we're kind of rolling hot tonight. I just don't want to risk it. So
Yeah, I
need
mean, you
just a minute
guys,
to think
there's
more.
no more heat to reduce. Don't forget about train. So if you want page 155, if you got the book handy, you can also train.
I'm gonna attempt to acquire an asset for us. I think that's a very spider thing to do. What kind of asset am I gonna try to take? I'm not sure yet.
Now, keep in mind that there's, again, 2 things, right? Are you looking just to acquire something for the next score? Right? Because that's really what acquire assets for. It's a
Yeah.
temporary asset. Or are you looking to really find something more like what Stella's doing, something more permanent, right? Something that's going to give a long-term benefit to this crew. So are we thinking more long-term project, or are we thinking more?
You know, we've got a few long-term projects going on. Let's be a little bit spicy. Do something different here. Let's try to find ourselves a temporary asset, like maybe
Okay.
some muscle to help us on the next thing, or someone that can distract people during our next score.
Or a bomb.
If our
Yeah.
next job could start with a demon scrying ritual and a bomb, that would be amazing.
Yeah, draw a lot of attention to somewhere, not to us.
Bat snack.
All right. So what are we thinking? What is this asset going to be?
I think this asset is going to be. He speaks slowly while he reads the rulebook. You like that? The most important critical thing about this asset is that there's always a consequence. Maybe I'm gonna find us some transport. I like the idea that like someone that's willing to take us in and out. I'm looking for basically a Jason Statham that's willing to help with a score.
Interesting. Okay. So someone who's going to It sounds like help our next engagement roll, right? Because the engagement roll that we make before a score determines kind of where we start.
That'd be
Right.
great.
All right, so let's see if we can't find a fixer that could really help us get in wherever we plan to go on our next score. And how are we going to do that? What action role are we going to take?
That's a good question. Okay, with acquiring the asset in downtime, are there things we're gonna have to do with like the crew tiers and roles? I feel like I
So
remember seeing
how you
something
roll will
there.
determine the quality of this asset, right?
Okay, okay,
And the quality will then determine how much of an influence it will have when you use it.
okay. In that case, I'm gonna go to. I'm gonna see if there's a way to use study here, and the way that I might be studying is seeing if there's a local Tokyo drift scene that happens after dark somewhere in Duskwall.
Oh, there
You know,
is.
racing for pink slips, and I'm not going to try to find the best person. I'm going to study and try to find the person that races with the most reckless abandon.
Ooh, interesting. Interesting. So, um, the most foolishly
The
selfless.
one that risks it all.
Let's
Um,
let's do it. I love it. I think study is perfect. Let's give it a study roll and let's figure out the tier of this asset.
we're gonna roll that study. Here it goes. That's a 5 and a 1.
All right. So on a 4-5, we're gonna get. Let's see, cruise tier as the base. Right. It is going to be your tiers. This is going to be a tier 0 asset.
Oh yeah.
So I need you to remember that when we do our engagement roll. So let's make sure leverage
We'll
it
make a note there.
Yep, between now and when we do our engagement roll, I need you to think about who this asset is, and you can determine who it is when we think about how they're going to help, right? So we'll keep them nebulous for now, but you've got an asset that's going to be able to help us in our engagement roll on our next score. All right, Elizabeth.
I suppose that I will train because I don't really know what else to do.
That's
I want to
good. What
check in on my buddy Frank, and I'm gonna train.
All right, so what are we gonna try to train in?
Maybe insight.
Okay.
Frank is pretty good at tinkering with things and playing around with stuff. I want to check on him. Might as well sit and mess around and play with the master craftsman.
I love how you're building the training into the narrative. I think that's fantastic. So taking a quick look at the Unspoken. Now you do get you'll get one XP for training in. Let's see, you said you wanted to train in insight, right? For the same
Insight.
downtime action, though, you would get 2 XP because of your the Unspoken's crew upgrade. You would get 2 XP if you train in prowess. But you're pretty stacked in prowess, so that may not interest you, right? And you've already got 1 in resolve.
Yeah.
So you want to add 1 to insight, add 2 to prowess, or 1 more to resolve. What are you thinking?
Oh,
Double down on what
I
you're
don't
good
know
at.
how to build things. I don't know how to build it into the narrative with prowls, though.
That could be simply you would bet in the back of the warehouse setting up like a American Ninja course, right? I mean,
yeah, I actually do kind of want to do prowls, double down on what I'm good at.
beautiful.
That
So
sounds like me. I'm stacking
Don't
the deck.
step
and what I'm
on
good
those
at.
books.
Don't worry. I'm just gonna backflip over them and keep like sprinting.
So we have a beautiful Elizabeth training montage as she adds 2 XP to prowess. Does anybody want to spend a coin or sacrifice a rep to do a third downtime action?
I'm good.
My eyes will stop bleeding eventually.
So I think what I would like to do is take a 10-minute break.
Yeah.
And I want you guys to start thinking about our next score. I think we'll build the score and we'll save the engagement roll for that score for the beginning of session 4. How does that sound? So let's start to sketch out this next score.
Sure, sounds good.
Love it.
Beautiful.
Sounds
Be
good.
back
Let
in
me,
10.
Let me cut us to a BRB here. All right, we will be right back.
about. So the goal of our first score was to get some coin, which is a great goal for a first score. You got a little bit of money in your pocket now. You can see how we can spend money, how we how we have to pay tribute, right? There's a lot of ways, entanglements. There's a lot of things that will suck money out of us. So getting a little bit of a bank, this was a great choice for the first score. I want us to think about our second score. Now, our second score can be, again, let's go big. Let's just go for coin, right? Or we've got 4 other items that come off the center of our layer. So if you open up the matrix, if you open up the Shadows character sheet and go to turfs, we could do a score that allows us to find a loyal fence. So at the end of the score, we're going to have a fence that we can use, which means we will get a +2 coin for any burglary or robbery that we do going forward. We could look for an informant, which gives us +1 die on gathering information for scores, which can be a huge help as far as engagement rolls go. We could try to acquire covert drops, +2 coin for espionage or sabotage. This is where we start to decide what kind of crew are we. And then we can start to acquire turf. And as we acquire turf, that helps us as far as a lot of other aspects, including heat and rep and everything. So what are the 4 of you thinking?
I have one thing to contribute and one thing only. I just learned a ritual that helps a lot with espionage, so if we want to lean into that direction. But that doesn't mean we have to. I have a slight leaning to covert drops, but I'm also fine with going with any of the others if people have an argument for it.
Having eyes during a burglary or robbery isn't a bad thing either, right?
Yeah, true. What do we feel like we want to be doing the most?
I mean,
Stealing stuff or
I think we all know that I like to steal stuff. I was leaning. I in literally every game I play, I'm always the villain. I like the idea of loyal fence because, I mean, let's be real. We're the Unspoken, but all we do is make a lot of noise. And it might be helpful to always be making a little bit of money, a little bit of extra money to pay people to keep their mouths closed. Or to unburn a bridge. But I could do whatever if anyone else has any strong leanings.
I just think that during our first kind of, I'll call it a heist, but didn't feel like much of a heist. The coin was good. The execution was wanting. I realized there's a lot of other gangs that are going to have something to say. Everyone's going to be trying to take something from us every time we do something. And I kind of feel like we should start to dismantle them from the inside. So the espionage sounds good to me, but I'm biased. Espionage is all I know.
What? Everybody looking at me now?
Well, I'll take your vote if you don't want one. It's fine.
Take my vote. Oh, wait. You're going to let me pick? Ah.
How do you feel about a turf war?
A turf war.
Yeah, get some more turf, get some spares, bang some heads together.
get some more turf, have a war. Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to play your character.
Wow.
I would
Wow.
quite like to try to crack some more of those skulls together. I'm a big fan of the whole sabotage thing as well, so yeah, I'm gonna lean towards covert drops.
All right. So when this is successful, we want to have established a place where we can drop things that others will pick up, or others can drop things that we will pick up, right? Information, assets, things that are going to help us with espionage related scores going forward, things that will help us with sabotage scores going forward and make them more successful. And we're going to measure that success by the amount of coin we get by executing that. So let's start to refine it a little bit. And let's start thinking about a target. So if you guys, you should be able to see the faction balance sheet near your character sheet. So if you go into the actors on Foundry, we can see our active factions. So we've got the Red Sashes, which we're +1 with. We've got Ulf Ironborn, we're -1 with. The Billhooks, we're -1 with. The Hive, we're +1. The Church of Ecstasy, we're -1. And the Bluecoats, we're even with. Is there anybody on this list that we want to target for the score? Like, is there anybody we want to hurt?
I would love to hurt the Billhooks.
I second the vote. The crow's foot's ours. We may be newer than the Billhooks, but we definitely have this under our thumb. Like that. Let's push them out.
I agree. Look at this place. It's terrible. It's not our fault. I think we can make something really, really special.
I believe that after we made fools of the Church of Ecstasy, these billhooks will be nothing to us.
They're
I am
like
fine
tier
with
2.
this.
You've got some. You've got something dribbling.
It's just a little blood. It's fine. It's a
It's on
side
your
effect
lips.
of.
It's on your lips too. Did you eat something?
You wouldn't understand. I haven't eaten anything.
Oh, okay. I have.
I
I expected you to comment on the smell, but it's fine.
I don't mind what we try and do, but the Billhooks need to pay. We've got a lot of muscle. We got some cool magic. We've got tons of spiralings all over the city.
I like
Aaron's
the words
going
of
down.
Stan.
I think
But is there something you're not telling us? What happened?
I think Aaron needs a conjoining cell with her brother. That's what I'm thinking.
Ah. They do something here.
Yes. And they will regret it.
Ah. I can help with that.
All right, so we're starting to hone down now, right? So we've got our target. We want this score to hurt the Billhooks. Makes total sense to me. When the score is over, it sounds like two things need to be true. One, the Billhooks are worse off than they were before the score. There's a lot of ways that can happen, right? We can take money from them. We could steal an asset of theirs. We could frame Aaron for something. There's all kinds of ways the Billhooks could be hurt. We could lower their tier, right? Their hold. We could hurt their hold. They're right now, I think, let's take a quick look on that. Right now, the Billhooks are a weak tier 2. We could potentially say we want to make them a strong tier 1, right? Reduce their reputation and their influence here in Crowsfoot and in general. And we also want to be able to tick the box and say, because of what we did, we now have secured turf that we can use as a covert drop and a safe, secure way to exchange information. So
This is necessary so that we do not embarrass ourselves like we did last time. We need more complete information before we just go charging in somewhere.
The information, and I'll have you know this, was complete.
It was not.
That wasn't our fail point.
We did not know everything we needed to know.
Oh, really? Because it seemed like we were going to get lost in the ether, and that had nothing to do with what we did or didn't know.
That is a cheap shot and you know it.
Look, mate, it's not my fault the door hinges were squeaky. I thought we could just push on through and walk on out.
Push
We
on
had the
through.
robes on.
You threw your shoulder into it. That's hardly a push. It seemed like you were trying to knock over a building.
That's how you open every door.
Oh,
Listen.
you look good doing it.
We can accomplish a lot here very easily. The Billhooks aren't super strong, but you know what? Some people are still afraid of them. We knock them down a peg. Those people are afraid of them. Start working with us. They become a little more helpful.
I like it. It sounds like you said, let's make the Soul Wardens go after Aaron. Huh?
I mean,
Talk about the spirit wardens.
Yeah, those two. Yeah,
Ooh.
potatoes.
To meddle with them
getting a
would be
little
foolish.
dicey. I mean,
Unless
I'm
he
not
was
opposed
hesitant.
to it.
To meddle with the spirit wardens is foolish. You said that about the church, and we came out alive.
All right, so now let's jump mentally to the end of our second score. We completed our second score. It was successful.
So easy.
What is true? How do we measure the success? What does the success of score number 2 look like? What will be true?
Do you want each of us to weigh in, or
I want you to discuss among yourselves. I
Okay.
want to get a sense of what success looks like.
in my head, surface level? You said two things to make it true. Okay. In my head, surface level, establish a covert drop point and somehow undermine or de-seat the bill hooks in Crowsfoot. Whether that be take out leadership or that be run them out of the town, like run them out of this area of the town. Those are my two. Like that would be success here.
I have an idea.
Can we link them? Go ahead.
The bill hooks are bouncers at lots of bars. I'm just declaring this. I don't know if this is true, but taverns are a great place to swap information and have contacts. We want to get them replaced so that they are driven from the places where they're employed as thugs and install our own people so that we can have hookups in all of the speakeasies up around here.
This could go a lot deeper. Maybe instead of just doing like bouncers for speakeasies and things like that, they run a protection racket in the Crow's Foot, and we could de-seat the protection racket.
Well, and keep in mind that we don't have to necessarily focus just on Crow's Foot here, right? Because the Billhooks are doing the same thing you're trying to do, which is they're trying to become the most powerful faction in Duskfall. So they've got their fingers everywhere. So we're going to be able to choose a hunting ground as well.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
And we have a transporter. Which, just throwing that out there.
I like
Seeing I used one of my downtime actions to get one.
No big deal. Or just ignore it. It's fine.
We could just go
like-
for whatever is the busiest tavern in the entire city where the bill hooks are bouncers and get them thrown out and get our own people installed that are our friends.
What could we do that would make the Billhooks lose faith in Aaron? Could we frame them or place them into like lure them into a situation that goes against everything the Billhooks stand for, or set them up with a cheap prostitute, or kidnap them, dump them outside the Dusk Wall?
So I'm going to throw something out here. I'm going to pick up a lot of the crumbs that have been tossed around here. Okay. I want you guys to go to page 272 in the book if you've got the PDF open.
272.
And I want to point out a place in Night Market that's called the Vale. Now, this is a luxurious social club known for its confidentiality and permissive policies regarding guests of arcane or unusual origins. So this is a club in Night Market where they will let your dreams come true, and they don't care what those dreams are. And the fact that you come to the Vale to make those dreams come true means that no other place in Duskfall has the stomach to indulge you in your dreams.
Oh, Demon Pleasure Tavern, I'm in.
Yeah, and the proprietor of the tavern, that's spicy.
I think that the Billhooks have been security at the Vale. So Aaron has arranged for Billhooks to be the exclusive bouncers and muscle that allows the Vale to exist unmolested. So I propose the target is the billhooks. The goal is to unseat them and essentially get them fired as the muscle, as the protection for this club in Night Market. And if we are successful, we will hurt the tier of the billhooks. We will knock them down to a strong tier 1 instead of a weak tier 2 by getting them bounced out of this very prestigious, even though unseemly club. And because the Veil thrives in the shadows, the Veil also is a wonderful place to exchange information. It's a wonderful place to drop and to pick up without being bothered. What do we think about that?
Several ways to approach. Yeah.
Well, that's the next step, right? So now that we have a sense of what the score is, where we are targeting, who we're trying to hurt, we now need to think about our approach. We're not going to get into any details. We've already learned how that works. So let's go. I'm going to quickly find the page. Where is the score? The details go to 127. On 127, you have got 6 ways in which you can approach this score. Do you want to accomplish this with assault, deception, stealth, occult, social, or transport?
Transport.
Occult.
Well, and here's something to clarify too. So we saw Yashka acquire a cohort, right? We've loosely defined who that cohort is. I talked about using that cohort as part of the engagement role, but that is not where we have to use it. This could be a cohort that you could call on during the score.
Yeah.
Right? So even though this person is really good at getting in and getting out of things, doesn't mean we have to utilize that cohort during the engagement role. We may want to save that cohort during the score and invoke them during the score when we need them, right? As part of the plan. So don't limit it ourselves there. And then the same thing is with the ritual, right? So the ritual, we initially think of it as having eyes and ears somewhere. That could be used as part of the engagement role. That could be used as part of a flashback. That could be used during the score as well. So don't build walls we don't need to build yet.
I have heard that the proprietor of the Veil has demonic blood. Perhaps we can find a way to appeal to his sensibilities.
Yes, just don't call it that to his face. No.
See, to me, I don't know. I know that you're feeling, your arcane self. I know that you're up to some creepy shit, while we were not here. And I know that we snuck in through your spirit gate in the last place. But to me, I mean, this feels like a bruiser's gig through and through. This feels like we need to be busting some heads. And you can get us in secretly, Yashka, girl, you can manipulate anyone to get us into the right room. Stella can bust some heads. I mean, I feel like, we can take another path, but assault seems the way to go.
Sounds like a way to make public fools of ourselves.
Only if we lose, and I don't lose.
Let's think about this, though. What's the job of a bouncer? What's a bouncer supposed to do? What's their number one role?
Keep rabble like me in my damn chair and stopping me from beating the shit out of everybody else in the bar, honestly. So the last bartender I was near said.
So they keep people out and they maintain the order. What if we were able to get a bunch of our friends inside without them knowing?
Okay, you're getting into details. I'm going to stop you here, Yashka.
Yeah.
Stay at the approach level. So we know our goals. Our goals is to lower the tier of the billhooks and to acquire the veil as a covert drop. Are we going to do it by assault, deception, stealth, occult, social, or transport? The details will flesh out during the score, right?
Fine. If we're
What's
going to
our
make a
approach?
ruckus, I request this. We humiliate them in the process. Make no one doubt that they are incapable of serving as security for this place because of their incompetence and their failure to protect it. But we cannot be the ones who get the finger pointed for whatever happens to
And-
this tavern.
And we're not getting blood on this.
And
So if we're gonna fight, you're bringing friends.
if that place is burned to the ground, it is useless to us as a place to gather information. So do not.
Yes, yes,
Do
yes.
anything
No
that it-
fire. No fire. I'm just saying, I know a couple young thugs. Stella, you've got to have some, like, brutish dock workers.
Those are honest men and women. What you mean?
Yeah, we'll say the same thing. No
Like, they're
killing.
good fighters. Oh, well, I'm not saying no killing. But, I mean,
If we bring the spirit wardens down on this place, we may never get in again.
as long as you're in agreement that assault is the way to go,
Sure.
I
Just-
promise
Yeah, not
to
me.
do my best to keep the spirit wardens out. But you're gonna have to keep that pocket pistol handy. You never know when it's needed.
I support
don't
assault
fucking
on
know.
2 conditions. 1,
I actually have.
it does
an
not come
idea.
back on us.
Uh-oh, wait.
2,
Stella
The
Stella
tavern
speaks.
is not
Hold on.
destroyed.
We gotta keep the tavern in one piece. We gotta make sure they lose their job and lose fame. With all this worry about, avoiding the spirit wardens, why don't we make them get caught by the spirit wardens? Still a
I love
little
you,
too high up.
Yeah, I
Still
need
a
you to go
too
one.
focused. Okay,
Yeah,
my
go
fault.
one level up. So I'm going to frame it a different way for you. And guys, just so you know, this is a struggle with everybody new to Blades, right? We automatically want to go down to the details. That's what we've been trained to do. We're going to stay high level. So I'm going to phrase it a different way. Do we want to accomplish our goals by doing violence to a target? Do we want to accomplish our goals by luring, tricking, or manipulating somebody or something? Do we want to acquire our goals by trespassing unseen? Do we want to engage a supernatural power? Do we want to do this by negotiating, bargaining, or persuading? Or do we want to do it by carrying cargo or people through danger?
Okay, to answer that question in the sense of what I was trying to get at, I say it's either assault, do violence, and trash the place, but don't let it come back to us so that they lose their jobs as bouncers, or we manipulate them into killing somebody, and therefore the spirit wardens come down on the bill hooks.
Manipulation. The only reason I'm against assault for our crew is that we chose subtle as our reputation and called ourselves the Unspoken. It just seems like assault should be a last option for our crew. Otherwise, like, why did we choose that?
I understand. I just am also trying to, like, I am particularly sneaky, and you are very persuasive, and I think even Josh is kind of sneaky, but Stella is a fighting brute, and so I also want to, like, I don't want it to, like, just be like, he's here, like, when we're in trouble. I also want to, like, play to his strong suits as well. I don't know.
We got to investigate what's a brute doing with the Unspoken.
I can find a way to make myself work. Let's
There
go
should
with
lean into deception.
There's always a
where-
time for a cutter. I can tell you this as someone who's ran Blades a lot. There's always time for a cutter.
Because I agree, Hank, I do not want to leave you out ever. And I never want you to feel like you're an ancillary player. I want everyone to feel like they're the star of this. I also want us to run true to what the crew was and try not to abandon that on our second heist.
Don't get me wrong, I think that, like, I would love to play deception, especially as a lurk. I also just don't want, like, our cutter to, I don't want it to be like
Yeah.
our second attempt at espionage with a cutter.
That's 4 votes for deception. We're going deception.
All right, so we are going to approach this with deception. We're going to try to lure, trick, or manipulate our way to our goal. What do we think? Now I need the detail. And this is the last thing we're going to talk about. What is the method of deception? So we're going to use deception to acquire our goals. What do we think is the method of our deception?
I'm with Hank here. Hank, I like convincing them to kill someone, or like putting them in a situation where they end up killing one or several people
who are not supposed to die, and who, at least after the fact, we can say didn't pose a threat to the establishment, and so they've humiliated themselves and lost the trust of the establishment. Something along those lines.
I think it is very reasonable. I will tell you this right now. It is very reasonable that the owner of the Veil would not be happy with the billhooks if they were responsible for bringing the spirit wardens to the Veil. It's very hard to say this would be worse than the bluecoats walking in. And that's exactly what's true of the spirit wardens. The owner of the Veil would much rather have the place run over by bluecoats than to have a single spirit warden show up inside of that Veil. So if by deception we are going to cause the billhooks to bring a spirit warden to the Veil, I think you will accomplish all of your goals. So what do you think is our method of deception? How are we going to make that happen?
What if we were able to, and this might be too zoomed in, what if we were able to like just really get in their heads, right? Like get them like thinking they're seeing stuff, they're hearing stuff, they're constantly looking for this person who they think has like maybe killed someone or caused some kind of threat, and they're so lost in their heads that in an attempt to protect themselves or to do their job, they like accidentally we like stress someone out to the max and they pull the trigger.
So I'm going to reframe this, and you tell me if this sounds right to you, Amy. It sounds like our method of deception is to create a condition where one or more billhooks will kill in the Veil, believing that that is the only option that they have, the only logical choice.
Yeah, sounds good to
Or
me.
frame them for killing.
Yeah,
Or
frame them for killing. Will this? And
we could
a
make
technical
them
question.
We could make someone make a scene by getting somebody worked up, and then get them in a confrontation with the billhooks, and then poison that person or kill that person in a way that makes it look like the billhooks did it because they were mad.
we're getting very close here, right? So do we think we want to frame, is our deception that we're going to frame a billhook for murder?
Or are we
Or-
Alec Baldwining this?
Tell me.
You know, he thought he was firing a gun that was loaded with blanks,
What a deep cut.
and it wasn't.
So are we going to, I'm going to build off of this. This is really good, Adam. Are we going to,
I'm never going to be president.
are we going to,
No,
and
sorry.
nobody feels bad about that. Are we going to cause a death in the Veil and make sure our method of deception is to make sure a billhook is held responsible for it? Or is our method of deception to cause a death in the hands of a billhook, thus bringing our spirit wardens?
That seems harder to me.
They're both going to be hard. That I can guarantee you. I'm your GM.
How do the spirit wardens work? Are we allowed to know that? Do they have innate knowledge of what happens, or are they paranormal investigators?
This is a legit question. So let's talk about what we know. There's a lot we don't know, and there's even more we haven't defined, right? In fact, there's a lot that our characters know that we don't even know yet, right? But here's what we know, the five of us. If someone dies in Duskfall, the bell of the crematorium rings. We don't know how. We don't know how the bell rings. We don't know how the bell knows that someone has died. But that bell rings. Somehow, everybody in Duskfall will hear it. I don't care if you're 5 stories down. I don't care if you're on a Leviathan on a Leviathan boat hunting for demon blood. You will hear that bell. Very soon after that bell rings, one or more spirit wardens will be present at the scene of the death. Their first objective will be to capture the spirit and capture the ghost. Duskfall needs many things. Another ghost is not one of them. And the spirit wardens have one job, which is to capture the ghost. The second thing the spirit wardens will do, and everybody knows this, is they will punish, read that as eliminate, whoever's responsible for adding another ghost to Duskfall. And everybody, all the way up to the Emperor, fears one spirit warden, let alone an entire faction of them. They are by far the most feared. They may not be the most powerful, but they are the most feared faction in Duskfall.
Can I ask a world building question about
Mhm.
that? If someone were to pass peacefully, you're at the end of your life, you're surrounded by your loved ones or friends, and you pass. Is there a Dusk Warden there at the end, ready to take your ghost, or are ghosts only created when murder or the typical reasons a ghost is there,
Here's
unfinished
what
business?
That's a phenomenal question, Adam, and here's my answer. The bell only rings if there's a murder, an unnatural death, and that's the only time the spirit wardens appear.
Okay.
So are we going to try to get a spirit warden to kill somebody, or are we going to try to kill somebody and frame the spirit wardens? Or sorry,
No,
bill
Bill
hooks. Bill hooks.
But yes.
Yeah.
So that's our deception, right? Because there's two types of deception here. One is we do the killing and we make sure a bill hook is the obvious responsible party, or we establish a scenario where we make it so a bill hook does a killing, thus bringing the spirit warden. What's our method of deception?
I mean,
I'm
I
good with
guess
either.
the question to follow that up and to try to answer this is how easy would it be to trick a spirit warden to say like, oh, they were the ones that did it when we're the ones that like obviously we don't know if they have some kind of innate super whatever, like they just know that we were the ones that actually committed the murder.
Here's the way I'm going to frame this, because that's another phenomenal question. Here's the way I'm going to frame this. Nobody tricks a spirit warden, right? It is just as hard to get a spirit warden to hold an innocent party responsible for a murder as it is to get someone to do the murder. Because again, of the fear. Every measure is taken to avoid killing somebody and invoking and summoning a spirit warden. Go ahead, Amy.
Is there a way to replicate the sound of the bell ringing? Because
No.
damn. Okay, never mind.
No, I'm gonna say no to that.
It's like a citywide
Right.
thing.
So let's go back.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to do the killing, and our method of deception is to make it a bill hook is responsible? Or do we want to set up a scenario and situation where a bill hook is driven to murder? Both will bring a spirit warden, and if both are successful, either are successful, the spirit wardens will hold the bill hooks responsible. The owner of the veil, we know, will be like, yeah, no, we're not going to use you guys anymore. That's going to hurt the reputation of the bill hooks, and we'll increase it will allow us to then use the veil as a drop. Adam?
I think Yashka puts. I'm imagining we're sitting around like a circular table or something, hashing this out, and I imagine Yashka puts her hands on the table and just looks at each of you, like earnestly, and says something along the lines of, "I, I'm not. I do not think I could work with you, or even look at any of you, if you just killed someone for us. It's one thing if something happens, but it's another for us to pick someone out and kill them ourselves. It just doesn't feel like what I signed up for. I know people are going to die. We don't have to pull the trigger.
We just might load the gun, though.
So it's good enough for you. If an innocent person dies, and a billhook did it because of our meddling,
Who said they have to be innocent? But go ahead.
what if we find someone who deserves it, and we convince the billhooks that they deserve it, and we stoke the flames a bit and get something to happen?
That's fine. We don't have to pull the trigger.
Stella, you and I have lived very different lives, I would assume. Pulling a trigger is pulling a trigger. It's not that hard.
I
What's
would
hard is
posit.
avoiding the spirit wardens.
I would posit that the person who must die must be someone valued by the establishment, so as to bring their ire down upon the billhooks. This must be someone important, and someone who deserves death.
And if we can make that someone wealthy and maybe pat their pockets after they die, something to think about.
You are
Just
going
saying.
to doom us all.
Right,
I'm
so
going to
if
get
I'm
us a more comfy couch.
if I'm reading the room, I think our method of deception is leaning towards creating a situation such that a billhook kills somebody in the veil. Are we good
Mhm.
with that?
Yep.
I think a spirit warden would hunt and hunt until they get to the root of who pulled the trigger.
And while it would be a lot harder to get somebody else to pull the trigger, I don't know if we could get out safely if we're the ones that did it, regardless of who we point at. I'm with Adam on that.
And if the town's, if the Vale's guards kill someone, it is going to reflect badly on the establishment. It is going to cost them business. It's going to humiliate the owner. He's not going to want to work with the billhooks anymore.
Well, then
Yeah,
who
I
would he want to work with?
I know a few thugs.
I know one. He turns and looks at Stella.
I know a few dock workers and heavy drinkers,
So
but you
I
dress them up nice enough and they can stand in a doorway.
That I,
I
can
think-
do.
I think we have everything we need. We've defined what success looks like. We defined our target. We've defined our approach as deception. We've come up with the detail, which is the method of our deception. When we start our next session, we're going to start pulling out some dice and we're going to start to build our engagement roll pool. We'll roll our engagement. We will start the score and we will find out just how brilliant of a plan our Unspoken have come up with to accomplish this goal with this approach. How does that sound?
It's gonna be so brilliant. We're
Maybe
gonna
I
blow
can-
you away.
Amazing.
Maybe I
It's
can
gonna be
eat a
so
bat
fun.
to find out who deserves to die.
I'm wondering
All
if
right.
I'm like skinny enough to hide behind someone and like get someone to like be shooting at me.
So that is the end of our first downtime. We're going to now do a score when we start session 4. Very quickly, because we're running a little bit later than I wanted to and that you guys wanted to, let's quickly do stars and wishes. So this is a whole new method of play. Who wants to start off with stars and wishes?
I'll start.
All right, Adam. Stars?
Stars. I think even through downtime, there was some really good world building, kind of across the board there. Personally, I love the new Commander Bowmore line I've got going. I love the new thread shop, that we got going there. It's just nice to start dropping more pins on Duskfall that are
Yeah.
important to us, and that differentiate us from other Blades campaigns. Right? We take it, we make it our own. So star there, and then I mean wishes. Really, no wishes for me. Okay,
What do you
no
want more?
one.
So what do you want more of then? If there's nothing
Yeah,
missing,
yeah,
what do you
yeah,
want
yeah.
more of?
Okay, I think I'd love to figure out ways to get downtime activities together. Maybe sometimes I know that doesn't always
Mhm.
work because we have different goals, but I felt like parts of this session, a good part were like almost like simultaneous single player games going on rather than a group game going on. Um, Par for the course, right? With learning how downtime works. But yeah, my wish would be make it a little more multiplayer.
How about you, Hank? Stars? What worked?
I like the way the game handles downtime. I like it a lot. I like
How so?
that well, the options while giving you enough to stoke creative fires are not to the point where it's like you're in a town. What do you do? It still gives you like a clear cut idea. You can go and say, one of us is bleeding from the eyes. I've got some weird spider thing going on in my head. I gotta find a doctor. How do we find a doctor? Like it funnels you in, but it still gives you that, like Adam was talking about, that like world building aspect
Yeah.
where it feels like you put a footprint on the game. So I like that, the way that the duality of it goes.
I'm going to build off both what you and Adam said, which is something I think is really special about this type of game. It's not exclusive to Blades, though, but I think Blades executes it very well. Which is give me enough to start, and I think Hank, you put it perfectly. Like, what are you going to do? Well, shit, what can I do? Right? Blades gives you enough direction to be able to push you, but gives you total freedom. So I will tell you, like, characters that you guys have interacted with in these first 3 sessions, I have run those characters with other groups. They are not the same people. The only thing they share are the names. You already have built them out and created things. This is not the first veil that I've done. This is not the first church that I have been a part of in running this. But your church is nothing like the other church. Like,
Yeah,
even
ours
the
doesn't exist anymore.
right? And that's what's really, really cool, right? Is that we build Duskfall, but somehow it doesn't feel like we're just making it up. It feels like we're discovering Duskfall. Does that make it different? Does that make sense to you? Like, I
Yeah.
don't feel like we're making it up. I feel like we're peeling back the wrapping paper, and it's always been this Duskfall.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
We're
How about
just seeing it through the eyes of our characters, which is
exactly
awesome. Wishes. I'm going to flip the coin on its head, tail, whatever you want to call it. I've been saying I want to see. Yeah, Adam made a point when he was talking about we picked subtle, we picked unspoken. And when I was building Stella, yes, Stella is a cutter. And like you said, there's always a time where a cutter will be important. I was putting a lot of social concept into Stella. So I want, and this is a wish, I guess, for game scenario, but as well as for myself, to step into that that more silver tongue role.
Yeah.
And not just rely on, oh, I want to beat somebody up, which is a character that I've played a lot of.
And I felt like we got a sample of that, Hank, during downtime. We got to see Stella not punching to achieve his goals. We saw Stella using his background, right?
Yeah.
That's how he's acquiring the Physiker. That's how he lowered the heat. There was not a single punch thrown in downtime.
Right. Yeah. So it's just more of that, letting me flesh Stella out more in that way. Yes, I still want to be a cutter when a cutter is needed, but that's not my only lane, I guess.
Josh.
Yeah.
Wishes.
This is going to echo a lot of what we've already talked about, but stars, I like sort of being able to define how magic works as we go, kind of inventing these rituals and fooling around with the magic and stuff. I like that it's kind of that it makes you invent it as you go, put drawbacks and weirdness into it. That whole system's great. It's fun. It's fun engaging with it and coming up with weird stuff to do and sort of defining how it works as we go. So that was cool. I'm gonna try to keep doing that. And yeah, wishes is just that we approach this next job in a way that everybody gets to contribute their skill set to it in some way. It feels like this will shine when we do a job where it feels like everybody got to do their specialty in some part of the situation. So,
Amy, what worked?
Oh man, it would be easier to answer what didn't work, which would be nothing. Everything was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I always enjoy like the RP, and I like that we were able to kind of plan our next score, and instead of just like us, for the most part, instead of us just like sitting and like talking and chatting about it, it was a lot of like our characters like thoughts and inputs and like how they feel about it and where their landing is at. And I also like just the introduction of new characters in downtime. I like that there's all of like these little webs, little ties that can pull in. And my wish is not something that we're lacking, but just hoping to see more of. I would love to, see more of how these things work out. See more of like these little like name drops that we're getting, have them come back up, circle back around, get thrown in our face, trip us with them. Just be fun. I'm having a blast.
So my stars and wishes real quick. What stars is, I don't know if I've seen a table that wants to play as character in character more than this table. Every single one of you want to be in character. And I love that. I feel often as a GM that I have to push for that. I have to push for you to stop saying, this is what she's doing. She's doing this. He's doing this. I'm hearing a lot of, I am doing this. And I'm hearing a lot of the characters thinking and a lot of the characters going. And hats off to the four of you for just embracing, because I am a big lover of this hobby when players are playing in character as character. And there is no shortage of this with the four of you, which I absolutely love. I think the four of you have been great about embracing a different mode of play. Like, I have dropped improv questions on you, and instead of going, you're like, okay, let's go. Let's create this. Like, and I think about like Adam, we created a whole freaking human being in a very short conversation. That commander is a living being now in Duskfall, is a presence in Duskfall, and you leaned into it. Same thing with our messenger, Amy. That messenger now, that's not the last time we're going to see him, right? And now within a short conversation, we have created a rivalry with another faction that not only do I think Elizabeth is passionate about, but I think Amy's kind of passionate about the Bill Hooks as well.
They kidnapped my buddy. What a mean thing to do. He's so useful.
But think about how incredible this hobby is that with a few exchanges, this world is starting to come together. And we have not seen or met Aaron yet, but yet the four of you are like, fuck Aaron. Right? Like, that's really cool. That's really, really cool. So I think that's the star for me, is that all four of you have put a tremendous amount of trust in each other to lean into this mode of play and to just go with it, which I really love. And wishes, I want to build off of what everybody has said, which is wishing that all four of us have a chance to shine. But I'm also going to lean into what Hank said, which is, in order for us to shine, our whisper doesn't have to whisper, our cutter doesn't have to cut, and our spider doesn't have to spider, and our lurk doesn't need to lurk, right? For each of these characters are not bound by their classes. And I think that we can, together as a table, make sure that everybody participates and everybody shines. So it's a table's responsibility. We are not going through a module here. We are responsible for what the score is going to be. And I think that I'm wishing all of us to like continue that spirit that we just talked about in our wishes and go, the score has not happened and we have total control over the score and it's going to be exactly what we decide it's going to be. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
When Josh and I originally talked, we said, hey, let's do a run at Blades. Let's do score, downtime, score, which is usually when I say let's run Blades. I think you have to have 2 scores. I think you need 1 downtime to understand the game. I want you guys to be mentally prepared for me to be at the end of our second score saying, I don't want to abandon these people yet.
Oh, thank God. I thought you were about to say the opposite.
Oh, I thought you were.
want-
I was like, oh God, my heart.
Be mentally
want you to be
prepared for
ready
them all
for
to
me to-
die.
I want you to be ready for me to want to play more because I'm really starting to fall in love with these 4 scoundrels.
So long as you don't love us, we'll take it.
Dude,
I'm good
I don't
to do
think
more
you
than 2
understand
scores.
how mentally prepared Amy and I both were for this to be the last bit. And how neither of us wanted that to be the case.
We've been talking about it for days.
They've got
Just
they've got
oh,
tubs
God,
of ice
he's gonna-
cream in the freezer. Just
He's
waiting.
gonna like pull out. We like two scores and a doubt. What are we gonna do? Who? Maybe Josh will run Blades for us. I don't know. I don't
I
know.
think it's cool. I think
I wanna play this
what,
game.
I think what we're making is special, and I think this is really exciting. And does it mean we're going to play every 2 weeks for the next 3 years? No, but I don't think we're just going to be able to do 2 scores in a downtime.
Yeah,
You-
that's what
you
I was gonna
say
say.
no
Is
now, But
I'm good to do more of this. I think the whole group is good to do more of this. We'll just have to work out what the frequency and schedule is going to be.
Oh yeah,
So we'll talk. We'll figure it out. But I don't think anybody here feels the need to stop after 2 scores. So we plan to do more.
Have we scheduled session 4? I feel like we have.
I think maybe we were saying it would be 2 weeks from today.
oh yeah, we talked about the 28th, and then
28th.
it was kind of up in the air because we didn't know about my father-in-law. But we went ahead and prematurely made plans, and we will be available that Thursday. We will be.
So put a in pencil on everybody's calendars watching. December 28th. We're going to hope
Yep.
to be back. Let's see.
Once we lock in the
let's see.
timing and stuff, I'll put it on the YouTube announcement.
That sounds
With
great.
YouTube upcoming.
Love you guys.
Thanks
We
so
love
much,
you
Craig.
too.
Do we do experience? Because we forgot that last time.
We'll start it next one.
Got it.
All right, cool. We will be back in 2 weeks, unless you hear otherwise. And thanks for watching, everybody. We're doing
Goodbye,
Blades, not Blades. Blah, blah, blah. We're doing Forbidden Lands on Monday, so tune back in for Stone Garden.
You have to watch their Forbidden Lands. You gotta watch it.
All right, take care, everybody.
More
Good
of
night.
this to come.
Oh, and we can play together. Oh, I've missed you so much.